Peace, everybody. Salute. Salute to my good people. What's up, y'all? I wasn't going to watch this particular interview, but I felt that there needs to be some measure, some counter poison, if you will, made available to us folk who seek intelligibility within the sport that we love and respect. Some type of counter poison needed to counteract a lot of the disparaging energy and information that is circling the boxing airways. There cannot be a pervading disposition of folly, in my view, or imbecility flooding the landscape and passing in front of our eyes on a day-to-day basis without the availability of some balance to counteract the disinformation and disgrace. Okay? I think there's too prevalent a system at work that is looking to completely dominate all semblance of rationale and sensibility in media as a whole. And the boxing media is no different, right? Especially as it concerns Black elite fighters, right? And you guys know that I have touched on this in the past. I have touched on it time and time again. And I recently also dropped a commentary for my members where I divulged this topic. Now, in my view, everyone is wishing on a star, okay, on the downfall of Devin Haney. That just is what it is to me. There is an unflinchingly sick and demented need, desire, and vehemence towards seeing this beautiful young Black man left absolutely desolate. It's a notion that I have always circumvented within my commentary over the past year because it's so prevalent an issue. It's so poignant and layered an issue that anyone cognizant of the over and undertones within this would be absolutely remiss to not clearly state what is going on as a counteraction. I find amid all of this stuff, an overwhelming reality that the Haneys are sustenance for countless people across the boxing world. Okay. And I posit that they are the lifeline of the sport entirely. They are the lifeline of boxing. There is no way in hell that a mere mention of one's name can bring in a sandstorm of attention, a sandstorm of criticism, fandom, and instantaneous relevance, all at the same time, just by mentioning the names of these kings, Bill and Devin Haney. Life itself, apparently, can be brought back to the dead just by mentioning the Haney's name. Just simply going on a tirade about the Haneys can bring even the dead back to life, you guys. The dead. Okay, this is exactly why I call him the young king Black Jesus Devin Haney, because it is evident that all matters of boxing life revolve around him in one way or another. He wears the thorny crown of boxing indeed, you guys, but somehow, through it all and despite it all, he manages to bling it out with diamonds. Okay, that is to say that he shines through nonetheless, and he prevails nonetheless, and he continues on his path despite all of the crazy hate that he receives. Now, Devin bringing, life back to the dead can surely seem, I guess, to some people like, some type of colloquial pun or whatever have you. However, I'm being quite literal when I say that, seeing as the long dead, insignificant, and irrelevant Gabe Rosado took his first breath of life this week, since something like 2007, I want to say. The man goddamn been a corpse forever. All right? And he came out of his crypt looking straight off of the set of a Fat Joe video, right? Like he's fresh off the lean back video set in 2008. The fuck? Nigga looked absolutely terrible, right? But somehow he climbed out of the dirt and was giving a second chance at 15 minutes of attention because he said the Haney's name. In a recent interview, or a few interviews, I believe there were two, one where he was speaking to Bill and another way, I guess he tried to explain away the source of their tension, right? He featured on an interview on The Boxing Voice. Now, there was no way in hell that I could sit there and insult my own intelligence and allow for the decaying of my brain cells by sitting there and watching that debacle in its entirety wasn't going to happen, okay? But I did gather just enough information for me to share some insight into what is an ongoing anticipation of and prayer for the degradation of the Haney legacy within this new era of boxing, and within a new era where no one has yet claimed the vacancy that Floyd Mayweather left behind, which is to say that there is yet to be an all-encompassing figure representative of the sport, right? And the boxing world is doing their very goddamn damnedest to keep the public from accepting Devin Haney, aka an elite black male, from assuming that position. Okay? Now, concerning this interview, firstly, it's imperative for us to understand that Gabe Rosado, or Rosado, as I have newly deemed him, is playing up to a largely hostile Latin fan base that finds the elite black athlete to be problematic in this sport. That is what he is catering to, okay? That's who he is gaslighting with his rhetoric, okay? The aim is to corral that audience, all right, so that he can ride the wave of relevancy because it's a majorative perspective that is held within that community that the black athlete is problematic, okay? He knows good and goddamn well the overwhelmingly divided position that quote unquote Latinos claim in the sport. And he is also fully aware of the prideful and many times willfully ignorant stance that they assume when it comes to the racial animosity that they hold, particularly with black fighters, okay? This is largely in part because, as I've said on many occasions, black boxers have a style and athleticism that they generally cannot overcome and that non-blacks can overcome, majoritively speaking, all right? So instead of finding themselves competing with black fighters and showing and proving in the ring as best they can, instead of just doing that, they resort to castigating black fighters, booing them, defaming, chastising elite black fighters, calling them boring, toting that old banner around, etc., okay? They cannot beat them in the ring, so they chastise and berate the elite black male. This is nothing new in boxing, you guys. Gabe Rosado is just charging that old battery looking for life within that discourse, okay? Now, one thing that I cannot stand is cowardice. And I definitely saw that on display when Rosado tried to pose as if, his alleged critiques initially that he was trying to give of Devin Haney were made to seem that, he was just critiquing the fact that Devin Haney fighting Jose Ramirez, was simply an observation. He was simply, giving some conjuncture, citing that Ramirez is a good fighter and that he should not be taken lightly, and that even though he lost to Barboza, he's still a hell of a fighter, really good fighter, blah, blah, blah. I was just saying that Devin Haney shouldn't take him lightly, and it was Bill Haney that came at me and all of this other nonsensical folly that he was saying, right? But he exposed himself in the very next instant when he began referencing Devin's fight with Ryan. His true intentions were made clear, hopefully, to those who didn't catch it the fucking first time, right? Who were too slow to get the whiff the first time, right? And he tried to justify that claim that he was making about Devin Haney by referencing that Ryan fight when he was asked by the interviewer, why did you say that Devin Haney has no chin? Is basically what the interviewer asked him, right? And the interviewer seemed like he had some sense when he interrogated why Rosado would feel the need to question Devin's chin when one would assume that because he got knocked down and got back up, that would suggest that one does have a damn chin, right? Wouldn't it imply that you have a chin if you get knocked down, get back up and finish the fight on your feet? On your feet. And Rosado attempted an excuse for the logic by simping and using the old talk point of the deluded fan base that's been in full support of the drug-cheating racist Riri by saying something along the lines of, this is what he says, something to this degree. Oh, well, I wasn't saying that he didn't have a chin. I was just going at him. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, there's a difference between getting knocked down or knocked out and taking a beating. Right? I've been knocked down. Hell, even Pacquiao was knocked out, but he never took a beating. And then he goes on to cite deaths in the ring when he said something like, oh, people die in the ring. And when they do, it's usually because of, repeatedly received blows over the course of a round. You know what I'm saying? It's never usually from one hit that received. It's usually from, a sustained punishment, basically. Usually when you take sustained beatings, you're never the same fighter after that. This is his logic in trying to explain away the whole chin debacle that he was trying to prove, right? Now, what's ironic here is that the pot is calling the damn kettle, you guys. I don't know how many beatings this man sustained and lived through. I mean, shit. We could run the goddamn gamut. Right? We'd run out of fingers, toes, eyelashes, everything if we try to count the many times he got his ass motherfucking waxed and mollywopped across that damn ring. He should know better than anybody else that one isn't quite the same after getting belt to ass repeatedly. Perhaps this is why, he hasn't won a fight since goddamn 93, right? Because he's still suffering the effects of his ass beatings that he took, the countless ass beatings that he took, right? Perhaps this is what he's calling the experience. He's calling his experience of ass beatings to the table, I guess, right? He hasn't been the same since, right? Devin, on the other hand, is just fine. Not only did he get knocked down in this fight with Ryan Garcia that people love to cite and reference, but he got back up each time he was knocked down and finished the 12-round fight on his feet and had the nerve to receive punches and deal with those punches in real time from a drug-cheating pussy. All the juice in the world couldn't keep Devin Haney on that canvas. Miss me with the chin bullshit, please. Go ask Ryan if he got one. Because he submitted in his favorite position on his knees when he faced Tank Davis. Before that chin could even get tested, he got a little pressure to the body and sank like a fucking ship. Go ask Ryan what he got. How convenient is it that the position that is always taken by these instigating pussies who push this rhetoric, looking to ride the hate Devin train, they never fail to completely bypass the reality that racist Riri was doped up to his gills in this fight. Never fails. They always bypass this fact because the goal is to always divert attention away from the reality, which is that Ryan is a drug cheat and that he had to use performance enhancement drugs to enter the ring with an elite black male. And one who just so happens to be the most accomplished young black athlete in boxing today. This is not coincidental, okay? So that the racial dynamic that Rosado is pulling from is replete within this dialogue. That racial dynamic is replete in this instance, right? What is also interesting and of note that I found is that Rosado's entire identity, by the way, is a cosplay of blackness. Let's just call a motherfucking spade a spade here. Just look at him. Listen to his interview. It's like, does this man know who he is? Okay? He wants to cull the support of a hostile Latin fan base, as well as attain the approval of the overall non-Black media who propel this disgusting rhetoric about Devin Haney, right? He wants to do that. Yet at the same time, he cannot come off as cool or tough, or that tough guy image that he wants to assume so desperately, without assuming Black culture for his own. He wants to take it on. He wants the bravado of Black masculinity. Talk about, oh, nah, that's dope, bro. Or, nah, dude was wildin'. Did you hear this man speaking on that interview? Did you hear his language? Did you see how he wanted to come off? Nah, dude is wildin'. Where the fuck do they talk like that in Puerto Rico? Or Mexico? Or Honduras? Wildin'? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Motherfucker got a whole identity crisis that he needs to work through, right? But he'll be the first one to berate our people. Just like the great Paul Mooney says, everybody want to be a nigga until it's time to be a nigga. Ain't that the truth? Dude is an imitation of an imitation, right? The imitation of the very man he could never conquer himself in the ring. Ain't that something? You couldn't beat a Black man in the ring, so now you're trying to become him. That's what they all do, ain't it? Ain't that shit crazy? You can't beat him, so you try to be him. But y'all fail miserably every time. It's like a shrimp in a shark costume. It'll never fit you. Never. But moving right along, I was quite surprised in a particular segment of the interview where I saw that one of the interviewers actually brought up the fact that Ryan was on PEDs at a particular point in the discussion, right? And the interviewer even named the drug, right? He said something like, oh, Ostarine was in Ryan's system. How can you, just thwart that fact? Something to that degree that he said, right? And this is something that we never hear within the media when they are discussing the Devin Haney-Ryan Garcia fight last year. It's something that they never make reference to. They never shed light on. So I was quite surprised to see that that man at that particular point had brought that up and to the forefront of the line of questioning. Now, when it was brought up, Rosado, in true fashion, did what all of the Ryan sympathizers do, right? Which is diminish the severity of the drug and the amount found in Ryan's system by trying to quantify how little the effects of it were at play on the night of the fight, right? By saying, oh, it wasn't even that much in his system. Oh, we can't really look at that as substantial. It was just a pequeño of a goddamn gram type of logic, right? Everything to dismiss and brush under the rug the fact that Ryan is a drug cheat and was on drugs that night and had taken drugs, right? And never alluding to the fact that, what was found in his system was just the remnants of what was left, the traces of what was left in his body, right? They never want to talk about that, though, right? Then he proceeds to say that Devin was the bigger man. You really can't make this stuff up, you guys. He posits that Devin was the bigger man, and hence, I guess this is to assume that Devin should have overcome, he should have just thrashed his way through Ryan Garcia, despite Ryan coming in overweight, despite Ryan being on drugs. Oh, he should have just found a way to overcome. After all, Devin was bigger. Absolute cap. Devin was not the bigger man on the night of the fight. Ryan purposely missed weight so that he could ensure that he'd retain his weight in addition to all of the benefits that he was accumulating from the drugs that he had used. Excuse me? So that the lies and the deliberate disrespect is astounding. It's astounding, all the measures that they'd go through to uphold this delusion. All of this to uphold and justify the disavowing of Devin Haney, who is a representative of the elite Black boxer, right? This is the man who had just cited, by the way, Rosado. He had just cited the fact that people lose their lives in the ring. Did he not? The same man who just used the loss of life as a reference in the ring just a moment ago, in the same breath, carelessly motions that Ryan being on drugs had no meaning, had no significance or any bearing whatsoever on the fight. And hence, he is overstating that no concern for Devin's life should have been had, even though he just made reference to the tragic ending and loss of life via fighting in the ring. It's disgusting, you guys. Absolutely disgusting. It's revolting and abhorrent on every conceivable level. What's also appalling is how the media, who open up their platforms to speak on such matters, never aim to dispel the folly. They simply give it a voice without care or concern, you guys, for how this type of rhetoric adversely impacts the sport as a whole. You cannot passively be speaking about a drug cheat in the sport and diminish the severity of what that poses to the life of the fighters that they enter the ring with. There is no way to, playfully speak about that or lightly discuss such a topic. It's severe, it's serious, and it needs to be dealt with. And people need to be reprimanded who are caught cheating. How are they casually talking about this subject? Oh, it was only this much in the system. It didn't make an effect. Oh, he should have overcome that. Why the fuck is this being allowed to be spoken of in this way? On any platform? Why is it not being curbed? These people are purposely allowing this nonsense to be spewed over their platforms because their only aim is viewership and clicks at the end of the day. There is no way that you can consider yourself someone who respects the sport and who upholds a platform as a representative of the sport, and at the same time you allow for the deliberate disrespect of fighters, their lives, their sacrifices, being belittled on your platform by the mindset that is saying it's ever okay or a trivial thing that an opponent uses PEDs that could have further put the life of a fighter at risk. He should not have felt easy on a platform, Rosado, going to any platform talking about that, or anybody else who goes on these platforms casually mentioning Ryan Garcia as if he had done nothing wrong or reprehensible. There is no room for that in this sport. That should not be promoted or upheld on any platform. I don't give a fuck if you like a fighter or not. I don't give a damn who is talking or spewing that nonsense. No fighter's life is trivial. That's my stance. And unfortunately, there are far too many people who do not uphold that. Some people are dispensable. I don't respect how these media platforms allow the imbecilic dialogue to happen without the curbing of that bullshit whenever they see it. Without charging whoever is talking like that with the onus of responsibility that they, explain what they mean. And hold them to what they say. Excuse me, what do you mean by that? That's a PED. We're not going to talk half-heartedly or lightheartedly about something that could have further jeopardized the life of somebody who is in the ring already in a precarious situation as a fighter. Especially this Trump having been a fighter himself talking like that. It's crazy. It's crazy how often we've seen fighters talk like this. These media platforms are cooperatives. Okay? Cooperatives with the larger body that looks to pump this dysfunction into the public. And it's a dysfunction that targets elite black male fighters by far. Call it for what it is. Bill Haney made a post on Twitter, you guys. I don't know if you guys have come across that. I believe it was yesterday. It was a post that was so hard-hitting and poignant that I wanted to share it here for anybody who hasn't seen it or for those who may have and wanted to discuss this. He stated, quote, "Mexican fighters get praised for effort. They just have to fight and they get love. Black fighters have to not just win, but win big, and only then they might get a little respect. Hashtag, they have to fight. We have to win." End quote. That's the statement from Bill Haney on his Twitter. And Bill is absolutely correct. And, it's precisely this level of transparency and honesty that people despise. Okay? Bill Haney is unapologetically standing in front of a framework that looks to diminish the outright value, you guys, of black fighters. And his son is at the helm of that propaganda. The cowardliness behind the mindset that assumes the posture of trivializing black fighters in the sport is such that it will lead the public into believing that anybody who speaks out and calls out the blatant marginalization, sidelining, and exclusions that black fighters face will be made to feel as if they are, hallucinating, right? Dreaming it up, just imagining things and falsely complaining with no means of justification behind what they say. This is what people are made to feel who speak up, out, and against it, okay? And it's a deceit that is pulled over time and time again. When black people unabashedly address disparaging issues, they are told that they are complaining or playing the victim, right? It's a silencing method so that anybody listening can be dissuaded from inquiring further into that claim. They're going to be dissuaded from seeking insight from that person who is citing this information, dissuaded from seeking what is really going on behind these claims. That's all the tool is there for, to dissuade people from inquiring further. Okay? It's also to keep people from identifying with the issues that are being called forward. That's what's being done on a regular basis. And this is the media's biggest aim and biggest tool of divertisement. Whether it's boxing media or otherwise, this is the biggest tool that is used. And it's commonplace that non-black fighters, can lose, can win, lose again, get knocked out, come back, lose some more. Doesn't matter, because they will nevertheless be deemed as warriors. Oh, they were in the heat of battle. Oh, look at them go, you guys. Oh, like a lion, they charged forward despite coming up short. Oh, the heart that they displayed. Oh, my goodness, right? For anybody else non-black. And a black fighter is trash. Simply, for example, forgoing the distance in a 12-round fight. He can't even go a 12-round fight. Okay? It doesn't matter if he won or lost that fight. Just the mere fact of a black fighter going 12 rounds is the atrocity to these people in boxing. Now, if he were to win that 12-round bout, it would automatically be discredited. You know why? Because after all, he did go 12 rounds. And why did he go 12 rounds? He shouldn't have gotten out of there. All these expectations and suppositions, right? And should he have lost the fight? Well, he might as well pack it up and go find a goddamn day job somewhere because he's, run of the mill, okay? There is no, he's a warrior talk for him, the black fighter. There is no, he is so valiant and courageous. Oh, look at him go, even though he fell short. Look at him go. Look at the heart that he displayed. Look at the fire in his belly to continue and keep going on his shield. There is no parade for him after his war. No matter how valiantly he fought, win or lose, he is not the warrior. Yet all the stipulation in the world is on the shoulders of the elite black fighter. He has to exceed expectation. And if he does, he is still yet to be proven in the eyes of these people, these fickle people. He is forever in the proving grounds of the public, as far as they are concerned. Always a prospect in the minds of the media and in the minds of the suits who uphold this racial bias. All of the acclamation in the world, and the black fighter is still behind the line of warriorship to these people of that mindset. But you know what? Preying on the downfall will not stop the inevitable. Whether it's Devin Haney or another beautiful black young king, black dominance in the sport will not change. It will not change. It has been so, it is so, and will continue to be that. Now you get why the constant PED usage among non-black fighters is so rampant in the sport. Now you get why Now you get why Riri was awarded for the folly that he pulled in the ring last year against Devin. This is why it's imperative, you guys, for us who actually respect this sport and actually, love and admire the people who do the work of warriorship uprightly and cleanly. It's imperative for us to stand 10 toes with the objectives of those who refuse to cower to this farcical narrative that looks to perpetually discredit the legacy of our fighters. Okay? It's unacceptable. No one should feel at ease. No one should feel comfort when they are attempting to soil the work and prominence of Black fighters. I don't give a fuck what area or avenue they are on trying to project that mentality. They should not feel at ease doing so. It's too comfortable out here for these chumps, thinking they could just jump on a goddamn radio station and talk crazy. They should know to tread lightly in these parts. Why? Because these waters are steep and dangerous on this side. They need to know that. That needs to be felt so that when they visit a platform, wherever it may be, and they start talking crazy, promoting this garbage mentality, they'll instantly be reminded that if they keep going straight ahead down this path, there is a whole lot of heat on the other side. You will be made responsible for what you say. You will be held to that. And you will not be let up on. Black fight fans got to wake up, you guys. They got to wake up. And I'm sure my real ones can concur with that. They aren't just talking to the Haneys with this output. They are talking to you. They are talking to us, Black man, woman, who enjoy boxing, who do this boxing thing. They are saying, oh, you think you're great? Well, you may very well be. But I'm going to rewrite your story. Okay? And I'll be goddamned if the world celebrates you. That's what's happening here. Because that's what happens when you can't compete where you don't compare. That's how the cowardly look to even the playing field. They'll manufacture stories, promote all types of falsities, and even manufacture synthesized ways to overcome you, synthetic ways of trying to compete with you. That's the lengths that a coward goes through. The Haneys are a microcosm of a macrocosm of the views towards Black expression and Black masculinity expressed via the sport of boxing. Do not be fooled into thinking that this stuff begins and ends with sports. It's much bigger than that. The dialogue extends much further and wider than that. Anyway, that's it for me, you guys. I'm on to the next. Peace.